All right, we are finally live, and today I will be reviewing a couple of portfolios which I received in the last 24 hours. Quick introduction about myself. My name is Arvid Schneider. I have been working in the visual effects industry for uh, a very long time. It's probably now 13 years or so. So it's yeah, I had quite a few gigs on my back. So currently I'm working as a lighting supervisor at Image Engine, where we are doing high profile shows, and I've got my lighting team, and we need to obviously make sure the shots are presented in the best way possible. Before that, I was 5 years at ILM here in Vancouver, working as a senior lighter and as a lead as well. So I were able to pick up a lot of experience learning from the best in the industry. And today I feel comfortable enough to do these portfolio reviews because I have a lots of insight of what is needed for a job, especially for lighting. So my feedback will be based on my opinion, on my experience. I have a strong focus on look dev and lighting and compositing. I'm not so familiar with game engine techniques or whatever, and I'm also not the best in animation or rigging and stuff like that. So if things like that will show up in the reel, I will not always be able to give you the proper feedback, except it's just based on my visual experience, what I just see on screen. And as I said before, everything I received with this upload link, I will go through them by upload timestamp. So whoever uploaded first will be reviewed first, and then I'll just going through the list. And we are starting today with Patrick. And yeah, let me just get rid of my face so you can see that. I think you should now see my screen, and you can also see the Discord chat because we are also streaming live to Discord and live on YouTube, which is the first thing I'm trying. Hopefully that will work without any hiccups. All right, so let's have a look at the first reel. And let me hit play. There's no audio. There might be in the video itself, but I just don't watch them with audio. All right, so what do we see? Character full close-up, lots of detail on the leather suit, good hair shading. I wasn't sure, was that real time or was that actually offline rendering? Yeah, maybe Patrick, you can just speak or answer my questions if you feel like it. Okay, wow, that's pretty epic. Were you responsible for all of this? Is that all aspects is you? I probably need to look what the specs were in the beginning. Design oil surface lighting. Okay, personal project. Awesome. That's looking already pretty good. And do you know, or can you share the render engine you used? Build shaders, troubleshoot, debug, feedback. Unreal Path Tracer, awesome. That looks pretty epic already. I need to look into Unreal. And this is actually project work, right? I guess from your employment. Second is V-Ray. Okay, thank you. Maybe actually, let me get you on the stage. I think it's easier. Invite to speak so we can at least interact a little. I still don't see, you don't see the YouTube live stream? Oh, is it unlisted maybe? Shouldn't be. Okay. Let me try to do this on the side as well. It's definitely live. At least it keeps saying it's live. Oh, it's private, my bad. Okay, that's on me. So let me just pause it quick so I can just get focused on that one thing. Thanks for flagging. So I'm just going to YouTube Studio. I wonder why I set it to private. It should be at least unlisted, but anyways, content, live, and go in here, make this public, done. Save. Okay, do let me know if it's visible now. Should be. It seems like it's now public. All right, let's try again. But yeah, do let me know. Thank you. All right, so where did I stop watching? Around here. Okay, thank you. It's good now. All right, so second character. I love the detail you did on the edge work. There's probably things I have to say about the edge work. It looks, I know, like a edge mask you use to break things up. So that's a little bit apparent. But we will have a look at the detail. It's really good detail on everything. Okay, surfacing, look dev character artist. Okay, so that said, you said this is Unreal. Again, I'm not so familiar with Unreal, but a couple of things which was probably related to the Unreal shader is just looking at the skin here, it just feels too rubbery. It's very see-through. It's very, you know, the subsurface scattering is too much. Like it's really, the light is just penetrating too much. So I think playing with that shader would go a long way. And also, I don't think that this stuff here is makeup. It's probably the subsurface scattering breakup, because you can also see it in the eyebrows. So there are a couple of things I would have adjusted in the shader, and also maybe give her like stronger, more present eyebrows to just let her stand out a little. That's what I'm observing right now. In terms of the texture detail, this is pretty spot on. I like the leather. You can directly feel it's kind of like a leather texture to it. So that's really good. The cloth works well. And in general, the presentation is nice. Like the blue light, I think it works really well. Something which you will see in the industry a lot is they always use complementary lighting schemes. And by that, I mean, don't try to always just use the same light color, because you can see now I've got your rim here and your rim here, which are both blue. You can maybe play around just changing the colors. A good scheme, which is always seen in lots of Hollywood movies, is if you use orange and teal. So obviously this is already teal, but if you then put in some orange light from this side, this will just make it look a little bit more interesting. It's worth playing for presentation's sake. Quality wise, shading wise, it's really good. I like it. And for this, it's really good quality characters if this is coming from Unreal. What I'm noticing, probably the cloth. Oh, this is V-Ray? Okay. Maybe that's why it looks a lot better. The quality, the seam size to me, just looking at it, looks a little bit too big. I would probably go a little bit smaller, maybe make it twice smaller, like make it like double the frequency of the texture. It just looks a little bit off scale to me in terms of the cloth details. But yeah, otherwise, I like the hair response. That works good. The hairline, just looking at it, is potentially a little bit too harsh. Like it's a really straight line here. And normally hairs are not super dense where they, you know, on the hairline edge. So it's a little bit sparser here. So there's a little bit of a fade. Maybe that's something to look at. But that's just me looking for things. Otherwise, this is a really good quality render. Then one thing, yeah, another thing I noticed, the cloth here, the cape is quite dirty where it connects with the ground. But the soldier, the armor itself is very pristine looking and clean. So maybe something to think, if you dirty up something, probably you should dirty up the rest as well. Like especially all of this stuff, dirt, then going up the legs a little bit dirt, and potentially even, you know, just a little bit in the crevices. I think that is something I would have changed. But yeah, otherwise very strong piece. I love the scale on this one. I was first, what? And then I was noticing your character here below. It's really good. It really, the scale just shows. But then looking at the scale, I think that your breakup is a little bit off scale. To me, at least, it feels like these scratches are very large. Okay, obviously it depends where this big robot has been through. But I think there could be a little bit more, like you see this stuff here. It feels very big scale. It's almost, this scratch is almost as big as her leg in terms of size. Maybe that's something to consider. And something being this big is probably, even I can already see, obviously it has wear and tear, but something this big will also collect lots of dirt and grime, you know, in these areas, probably where the hydraulics would be. So just something this scale, and you would see probably some leakage here to make it a little bit more grounded to the world, I would say. If that makes sense. And what I noticed in the other piece, which I can see here as well, is your edge shader that you use to break up the edges. It's just very obvious what's going on here, right? So I would probably suggest to create a noise shader. It's very obvious in, where was it? I'm skipping ahead now a little. Hello? Yeah, and this one. It's very noticeable here what I'm talking about. You can clearly see the same edge breakup. So what you can do, you can still use that same breakup, but then multiply it with a really big scale noise to get areas which are not broken up. You know, just break up the same edge. That will help a lot to just get more detail in it, and it looks a little bit less procedural. Back to this. But yeah, otherwise it's looking great. I like it. And this is production work. Yeah. Supervised surfacing, looked at bolt shader. Okay. Thanks for a quick response. That helps a lot. I guess this is a little bit depends on the budget of the production. I don't like the bear, obviously, because it doesn't have cloth or hair on it. It just looks a little bit off compared to the rest. But I guess it might just be obviously resource because of the resources of this project, and also render times, I guess. But on a lighting perspective, everything on the right hand side feels very nice. It feels very matching. There's nothing really that stands out. You get a nice bloom from the windows on the right, which fills in the character and the bed, and you get a nice kind of glow here. It's really well made. Similar to the carpet. It looks okay, but I can see it's a very strong bump map, which is a little bit off-putting. You know, I'm talking about like this surface here, which is kind of the same as this on the bear. Good details on the floorboards. That just adds realism to it. I like that. And it's just breaking up the specs. That's really good. That's a good eye to just notice these subtle things. I think the perspective is pretty off here. Unless we are like really high up in the air, which we might be. Like, to me, the outside looks a little bit off, but I'm not focusing too much on this. Same here, that's pretty good work. Like the shaders are not too subsurface scary. I can see it's kind of a fakey SSS. I think it's a painted diffuse here, which works, and it's a great style for these animation, like 2D kids shows. It works really well. The Ice Age Adventures. I never heard of that. Is that like a series for Ice Age? Probably, right? It's good details, like the eyes. It's probably a little bit too flat lit, if you would ask me. It like this, there's no clear direction where the light is coming from. So I would, like, if this would probably be someone in my team, I would probably give a note that there needs to be a better sense of direction. because I believe, it's hard to say. I'm not sure where they are playing, but it looks like, oops, it looks like the big sun, the main key direction is coming from this angle. And if that's the case, I would try to emphasize that a lot stronger on the characters. Because here, even though they are kind of going and flying all over the place, or, you know, swinging all over the place, I would still, because they are hero characters, I would still give them a lot of more rim light to just separate them a lot more from the background. So I'm thinking doing something around here, because the light is essentially still from this direction, and you can cheat it, right? It's not a bad thing. You can move lights even in the same shot to just get the look you want, and then maybe have something from this side, so the arms are a little bit, you know, maybe a different color or something on this side, to just make this a little bit more interesting. Because just looking at this, it's a little bit flat on the character side. I think it works well in the beginning. That's exactly the notes I was just giving. You can kind of see this rim from the bottom, and you can see the key from here, which is awesome. But then going along the shot here, you lose all of that, which is something I would just try to, or at least for future projects, pay attention to. And then what's going on here? So it's still the same. Oh no, it's not the same shot. But yeah, it's a very similar note I'm giving here. I would say. I think this is okay, what's going on here, but these two guys to me are not interestingly lit. It's just, this whole thing is just one flat shader. You can't really see much. On the lace in the background, you can kind of see there's some highlights hitting these guys, and then like where is this light coming from? It's not hitting the environment at all. It's just, I guess this is a kind of beauty light on his face. But yeah, this needs to be definitely more interestingly lit. Probably key light from this side, get some hot rims here, something like that, and just make this a little bit more interesting. And you can always add like these fake fill or kick lights just to shape the bodies a little bit, because right now it's just, yeah, you will hear me saying it looks just too flat. I hope that makes sense, what I'm saying. This is pretty cool. This is a nice hero key shot. This is a little bit odd, whatever that is. But the lighting is pretty cool here. So strong keys, and you got a little bit of fill. Maybe this is a bit too filled in. It's again, like if you would darken this a little, if I go dark and opacity up, maybe a little bit more opacity, maybe a little bit more. And all the way. I'm just trying to paint in some shadows here. Like that's something I do with my team all the time. I always do these paint overs because it just really helps to show where you want to spend focus on in terms of lighting. And the same obviously goes this side here. So I'm just trying to show where it would be interesting to add a couple of more highlights. That helps. Hopefully that helps. And the left side is pretty good. Something like this. And then you can see before and after. That's really flat on the body. And then just adding the shadowing, like less fill and more direction, helps them pop a lot more from the background. All right, let's keep going. Lots of things to go through. I kind of touched upon this about the texture map itself, the masking. I think that would be probably the only thing. I think it's supposed to be like a very cartoony, obviously, because of the model itself and then the textures used. But I'm just spending more, I think, focus on the armor, because that is interestingly to look at. This feels a very like too smooth and too rubber-like, as I said before. Yeah, you can clearly see what I'm talking about, this stuff here. So try to break up these edges and have maybe some go a little bit bigger, and then you can multiply different kind of noises together to get exactly that. And don't be afraid to use occlusion to fill in these areas with just, it doesn't need to be dirt or something. Just change the albedo to be a little bit darker where these contact points are. All right. Oh, we got her. So that's probably V-Ray. It's the same probably as a soldier, I guess. Oh, sorry. I missed all the chat on YouTube. This is using RV. RV from ShotGrid these days. That's a YouTube question. Also, how do people render out these things in a timely fashion? Most of us don't have thread rubber, so do people just take days? I think it's fine to render for a couple of days your shots. It's not a big problem to render 3 days or something. But yeah, some people are lucky. Some people use render farms, so it's probably there's a lot of ways to get things rendered. I feel the hair is a little bit too thick. I know it's usually hairs are a little bit thicker than people would imagine, but I think these are a little bit too thick and a bit like not enough hairs. You can kind of see it in the specs. I think I would add a little bit more. What I can see here texture-wise, it's pretty cool in the face. There's lacking of a bump or displacement to break up the specs, but there's a lot of detail missing in the ears. If you present the ears, they should hold up the same way as the face, if you know what I mean. What's the next question? Makes it hard to learn if my work takes days or no. Well, I think everyone today is kind of spoiled with all the render performance they are getting. I used to render for several weeks on a project, so it's quite common to just be a little bit patient and wait, right? I know it's easier said than done, but it's just something I have to say. Yeah. All right. So the next, well, first of all, thank you. Was Patrick, right? Maybe I added it twice. Thank you, Patrick, for your submission. Appreciate it. It was good to go through that. Let me get rid of this. And then the next one is, it looks like Unreal. Maybe if Mark is in here. Awesome. Glad that was helpful. Yeah, if Mark is here, please say hello. You can say hello in the chat on YouTube or on Discord if you are here. Oh, is that you? Okay, awesome. Wasn't sure it's you, Mark. All right, so feel free to, is that Unreal, everything? And I'm trying to, so it's one submission as it seems. Student project, and yeah, Unreal, okay. Close-up shots in the same environment. Different lighting, different time of day, I would say, or maybe just different angle, same time, yeah, same time of day, different angle. Okay. Why is this still? I didn't include the making of because I wasn't sure. Yeah, it's not really needed, the making of. I think it's still caching now. Okay, still caching. Go to first frame. Oh, sorry, here it is. I just cleared the in and outs. There we go. Academic partner Unreal. All right. And again, this is now me not being super familiar with Unreal. I played a little in Unreal, but not too much. There's just a couple of things that would make this stand out a lot more. And let me just put them out there, and you can make your take note of this. For one is these things. If I think what they are is like little paperbacks or whatever, and then there's like a candle in here, right? And then they are floating on the water. Right now, I can see it's like a texture-based gradient, which is just going in a vertical direction. It would be nice to actually see, like you did here on the candle on the little boat here, just to put a light in here, just that there is like a hotter core and a little bit of a fall off, and this will already make this a little bit cooler. What I think works great is the animation of the water. Feels very calm. The frequency is pretty good. So that works well. It just kind of helps to show the environment of this shot. It's really, calm. I think that's really well done. I don't think you did a compass. Is that straight out of Unreal, or did you do some compositing in Nuke or wherever after the fact? Raw render Unreal. Okay. Yeah, that being said, I think it could use a little bit color corrections, especially the temple here in the distance. Like I feel, I don't think the temple has like this reddish pink paint job on it. I believe looking at it, it's kind of a beige or maybe even white. And if that's the case, you have a purple light, like maybe it's a sunset direction or like a pink light, which makes everything very pink, but it's not really affecting the environment as much, which I find a little bit odd. That's why this stands out a lot to me, as if it's in a different scenario, if you know, if that makes sense. And I'll do a paint over in a second, just to show what I think would work a lot better. And it's similar to the previous project about having a very strong fill, which is a little bit off-putting. Let me just get the right opacity in my little brush here. Yeah, that's working. So I'm very subtly just darkening the fronts here. Now you will see a before and after in a hot second here. Let me just get this fill in. And again, this is something I do at work all the time, using RV, using paint overs to help my team, my artists, to just show them exactly what I mean. Because just giving someone written notes is a little bit hard to understand in most cases. So having a visual support of that note just helps to reduce lighting iterations, because iterations are very important, because the quicker you can iterate, the more you see different versions and the more feedback will be given. You see, even just if I go back and forth, is already making a huge difference. You know, this already feels a lot more grounded being this dark in the fill side. It just helps to make it pop, because then if you do this darker, then you can really exaggerate these highlights. Would I do this in post? No, I would not do this in post. This would be definitely a note you would need to address in Unreal, because I'm not sure how you did it. Did you put in a big fill light in the front to get some light on this side? That would be my question. Like if that's the case, definitely get rid of that fill light and just use with work with the ambient of the scene, because it's not doing this here, right? It's not doing this fill on this little temple, nor is it doing it on this side. So there's something you're doing specifically to the temple in the background. And then also this guy feels very, very filled. Like there could be the same light from this side and then this side. You know what I mean? There should just be a clear direction of lighting, because you can see it in the clouds, right? The clouds have the lighting from here, and then obviously they are scattering light a lot more, but you can see there's a distinct shadow side there. And then what I was saying about doing maybe a compositing after the Unreal, because I'm pretty sure you can export the AOVs from Unreal, is to just play a little bit with the saturation of things. It looks just very oversaturated. And potentially I can, what is it? Is it Shift S? I keep forgetting. Yeah, Shift S. Oh, there we go. So just, you know, I just reduced the saturation to 70%. To me, feels already a lot more realistic than this. So Shift S, reducing saturation. Something like this. And maybe we can even play a little bit with contrast. What was that again? Just Y. Y for gamma. Yeah, I think just a little bit color correction post would do a long way. And then you can also utilize the depth pass, and because there's like a Z pass which you can export. And based on that, I think you're doing this in Unreal already with like there's like a little bit of hazing going on here from foreground to background. You can really emphasize this in 2D and compositing. Different angle. Is it maybe I just put it away a little bit so it's not clipping as much. Maybe this is better. I was just saying, do it in, like, use the AOV Z-Pass to just create a little bit of depth phasing and compositing. So it's a little bit more grounded, if that makes sense. For me, this shot works pretty well. I think the scale is a little bit off for the butterflies. And they are also not in, you can see based on the depth of field, I can kind of see that these butterflies are in focus. That is telling me it's RV. Let me just type in here, RV. Them being sharp and focused tells me they are closer to the foreground as everything else. And that lets me think that the scale is a little bit off for these butterflies. Thank you, Lisa. Color, like shading wise, this is really well done. It looks really realistic. But again, same notes apply to the background and to this pillar. There needs to be more shadows going on. Yeah, something is off with the Unreal depth of field. I can see that. Okay, I think that was this, and a different angle. To me, this feels so much better because don't get me wrong, I don't see this the pink temple. Like this works really well, and even if we desaturate it here a little, it looks pretty good to me. Not much to say. The leaf details of the palm trees are a little bit off, but I think that's just the Unreal geometry or whatever that can be adjusted. Otherwise, it's really lovely. Good work. All right, thank you for your submission. The next one is Mirk. Let me just pull that in. Let's get rid of this one. And then we have Mirk Real. Ladybug Cat Noir Awakening. I hope, is it Mirk? Is that your name? I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Oh, you worked on Incredibles. That is epic. And, oh yeah, Mirk Tadis. All right. FXTD, an artist. Again, I'm learning Houdini. I probably can't give you exact notes on effects things, but yeah, I do have some experience in that. Yes, it will be uploaded to YouTube. Everything will be uploaded, or obviously the live session will be available on YouTube, and then I will also repost this in on the CG Lounge as well. So it should be available for everyone. All right, let me have a play and see what we're dealing with here. Ah, that's how you start. I see what you did here. That's cool. I was already asking, where's your intro? But then you did that. That's cool. How much is that? I think it was Incredibles. I'm not sure if that was a new version. Are you here, Merg? Oh, sure. Sorry for butchering a name. Griffin Animation Academy. Seems like student work. Is that correct? Zack King, Fire Simulation. Okay. Force Field probably. No. Oh, that's, yeah, some cool effects things. Everything here, okay. Missing a little bit of detail on the rocks here. I'm just quickly going through and just, oh, I did the same. Ah, funny. I took part of the same project here. I think that's Rebel Way. I did like an underwater scene for this. There's a lot of things to look at here. FXTD, pretty cool stuff here. Well, say hello if you are in the chat. Otherwise, you can see it at a different time when it's uploaded. So what I was saying in the beginning, I was a little bit surprised that there's no intro and we just cut in right into it, but then it comes up here, which, like, I mean by intro, just what am I looking at? Is it an effects reel? Is it what, right? So it's the first time I'm seeing it like that. I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing. Typically, you would like to see what you're dealing with beforehand, and even probably put it in the title maybe then as well of the link. Maybe you did that, it's just not now in your submission. But make it obvious what I'm looking at. Like, is it an effects reel? Is it whatever, right? So when I look at the first frame, I don't know what I'm looking at. So I have to watch it to know what's going on, which is okay, but it's just something to note, I think. So you worked on the electricity, sparks, and effects renders. The electricity sparks, which are these guys. The sparks and effects. So I'm not sure so I'm guessing it's not the environment lighting. It's probably not even the butterfly. It's just these electricity. And if it's electricity, I think they're like, I tried a couple of electricity things myself. And typically what you get with electricity is you get a lot more branching. Maybe that was a client node, potentially. But what I'm seeing here is a lot of kind of spaghettis all over. There's maybe a little bit of branching on this end. But I think we probably want to see a couple really big ones. And then, a couple of big ones, maybe going in these directions. And then of those, you probably want to have a lot smaller ones, like these kind of branching forks. To me, it looks like it's just one big effects. But again, that is just me. Maybe you got a clear direction from your supervisor, whatever. So I'm not fully sure. Otherwise, yeah, sparks. It looks very magical, which I guess it is, because sparks don't fly around like this, right? They have a clear velocity path, they have a clear direction, and they do not fly around like butterflies. So if it's supposed to be some magical effects, I get it, that's okay. But if it's supposed to be sparks, oh, here's some good forking here at the bottom. That's nice. That's what I was talking about. That should be probably on the main one too, this stuff. As I said, if it's magical, it's probably okay. But I would also change the color maybe of the sparks, and they should dissipate from high energy to low energy. Right now, it's just like these little glowing worms, I would say. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty good. Let's go to next. Love this one. Love these shots. Attracting lines and shockwave. Okay, that's this stuff. Okay, I got it. That's cool. And this. Okay. So it's not really a lighting reel, so I will not focus on this. I will try to focus on the effects side of things. And it could be, like, if you look at the still frame, it's a little bit hard to see the direction of travel, which I think is important to see that, even if it's not a moving image. I can see, obviously, if I scrub that, they are kind of traveling towards here. But I think a cool way to indicate the direction is just have a little bit of a trailing setup going on, and a little bit, maybe a little bit wider, and then maybe even a couple of these trails, just that you kind of see that it's going in this direction, because this could also go this way, right? It's a little bit difficult. That's probably one effects note I would give. I love the solver work you did on these impacts. There's the soft transition there that works really well. Underwater bubbles. Yeah, feels like bubbles. There's not too much to say. There could probably be a little bit more around her arm still, like bubbling up here. It feels it's just from the surface impact generated bubbles, but you're not generating bubbles when the character is going down the water. So that's something I would be missing on an FX level. Shading wise, integration wise, yeah, feels like bubbles. They do bubble. Dust smoke, engine smoke. Yeah, this is probably just the style of the shot. But to me, having smoke cut off like this feels a little bit weird to me. But again, as I said, this might just be the style and whatever the supervisor or project manager wanted. It would be really cool to see them actually go up and dissipate a little bit softer. And even you could apply some wind so they're not going into the action itself, so they just kind of dissipate. Yeah, that's probably one thing I would change: engine smoke and smoke. And yeah, it's the same probably notes on this: clear in and outs, fire. Fire feels a little bit low res. Feels a little bit blurry to me. From the shader standpoint, yeah, also it just feels like a blurry orange pattern, and there's not much gamma. I think there needs to be contrast in the flame to make it a believable flame. You know, maybe even going like this. I really crunching the values on the fire, you know, but this will, to me, it feels like a little bit more like fire than what this is right now. Everything except modern anim. All right. Oh, I like how the dragon goes through the smoke and drags it along. It's probably a little bit too exaggerated, but I like the idea. It's working really well. It just shows it integrates the size and the force of the wings. It's well done. Similar note to of the previous projects. To me, it's a little bit too flat lit, and I can't really sense where the light is coming from. I kind of feel it's coming from the right, which it probably is. Let me go a little bit orange here. So I'm feeling that the direction is here because I can see kind of a little bit of a bulge here and a little bit shadowing at the bottom. But similar note as before, I would, especially to have the dragon stand out, you really want to play with lighting, because right now, looking at the still frame, kind of feels kind of integrated to the cloud, and you do want to have a very strong, very strong hit on the edges of the features of the dragon to really showcase the horns, whatever it has, right? It's just to make it more interesting. And the same applies for rim or kick lighting. Make sure that there is something to shape it. You have something, I can see that. There is some blue in the back, but it's just not on the dragon. I would like to see it on here and on the wings and strongly here to just shape it, right? I just gave lighting notes because I think you did everything except the animal and the model. Same thing with this. This is great. I've got not too much to say about this. I think except that it's pretty good looking, very powerful. The fracture of the wood is a little bit bizarre, probably, that you get all of these fine pieces all over. It's probably not what I would expect, rather than big chunks flying off. I know wood breaks like this, but it's a pretty default kind of way to set up wood fracturing in effects. Like bigger chunks, this is lovely. This thing, which is rotating, it's really cool, like that. The rest feels good. Again, similar note before, I would play with lighting because I have obviously a lighting background. I would probably try to it's always, you will hear me, let's say, in every probably portfolio I'm looking at today, there needs to be a light direction. You need to differentiate your hero characters from your background. It's very important to make things interesting. Wind and dust. I love the breakup in the dust that flies from from right to left. That's great. Same here. It's really cool. I'm not sure if this is Unreal or is if it's rendered, I would expect some light emission from these guys to the, so I didn't pick my color. I didn't pick my color. There we go. Yeah, some light emission from these symbols. You can see they are definitely illuminating. So it would be nice that they would affect the dust as well. But again, you said this is not you. You didn't do the rendering, you just did the effects, which I get. That's not your call or your discipline to do that. The particles are great. That gives really dynamic to the heat and the force of these particles. I like that effect. And it's also nicely calmed, so this just works to me. Really well done. This is pretty cool. Everything except modeling and animation. So that means you did the fur, you did the snow in the fur, the frozen hair. Obviously the sims on the snow. I think this looks really good. Really good stuff. Let me just do in out so we can quickly have a couple of watches here. Yeah, this is one of my favorite shots. Maybe this should even be the opener. I actually haven't talked about the structure of a reel yet, but maybe this grants it because there's just so many submissions here. To me, I would think that you should open with strong reels, with strong shots in the beginning, and it's a cool dynamic way to open a reel, this one here, but it's not one of the strongest shots, right? This is a pretty cool, I actually probably would have opened with this one because it's kind of the same idea. You get these sparks or whatever. But I really do like this. To me, this looks very realistic with the depth of field and the simulation, the fur of the wolves. It's really well made. Good job. The only thing I would probably say is the trees look a little bit simple, but otherwise it's pretty nice. All right, let's get through this here. Fire sim. It's a weird fire. Is that a dragon again? Probably it's a dragon. Force field. Oh, that's not, you didn't. You just did this. Okay. Again, I did a lot of flamethrowers and stuff myself, and I know the challenges. I think there's a little bit lack of motion blur. Potentially it wasn't rendered with motion blur, because all of this feels very static. Adding motion blur to fast moving fire just sells the dynamic and direction it travels. I would play with that for sure. And it's maybe a little bit too broken up, the fire itself. It has like all these really small, to me almost as if it's disturbed too much. The comp is well done. It's good that it's illuminating the environment. That's all good. Person project. Yeah, this is what I said already. I think it's cool, but we have, like, I work on so many Star Wars shows. We get probably a handful of shots like this in every project I'm working on. And so I can give you some insights on this. There definitely needs to be some kind of visual force that keeps the ship afloat, right? And I'm guessing these are the engines here. These guys. So having something, and maybe even some engine here, and here, like add thrusters to this. They can be kind of stylized a little, but some kind of shaping. Then you would, in compositing, add some heat distortion, which distorts the background so that you can see there's heat coming off it. And then it will feel already a lot more integrated. And then you can use the smoke, the flame to bloom the dust. That will help a lot as well. The smoke itself, or the dust, I mean. Yeah, it feels like dust. I think it feels okay. Potentially it could be a little bit more detailed, but it does work. The whole shot kind of works. Just add a little bit more interest in the ship itself, because that feels very simply lit. Something you did here is great. You can see the bloom how it affects the environment. I think you've got a masking issue here actually. Was that a lens flare? Oh, it's a masking issue. Yes, maybe a shadow pass going over that cliff. But this is kind of what I was talking about. Maybe get this kind of intensity on the thrusters here and have them bloom the same way. Yeah, personal project. It's pretty cool. As I said, I did something similar. Well, not similar. I did the same project from the same resources, but I did like a fire underwater thing. It's great. I would just looking at it, I'm missing a little bit of this light on your character. So whatever this is, I guess this is from fire from the dragon as well, or a portal or whatever, but it should affect your character. It's right now, it feels like a separate layer. It's not really doing much on the character. Ground dust, lighting. Oh, lighting is cool on a sword. That's nice. That really, you can see just adding these rims like really separates your character. Is that Batman, I guess? Batman with horns? Whatever, it's not Batman. My bad. It was Batman Day yesterday, I think. Or the day before. One thing which is a little bit annoying is the chain. It doesn't add anything to the shot. I would probably get rid of it. Or at least shade it differently so it's, you know, not from a jeweler, a gold looking chain. It should be really dark, and why is it reflecting so much? Nothing else is reflecting so much. Yeah, I'm just going a little bit quicker because we are looking at the same things a lot. This is also a cool one. It's good to also finish with a strong shot, and I think this is a pretty good strong shot. You can really see this is lovely. This framing, it really, you know, it's dark against bright, which really lifts your characters from the background, and that's something you really want. It looks just so much more dynamic. The fire works good. There's like this fire, the strong forces in it rotating, and the ferocity of the fire. It looks really well, really nice. The jittering, the fire. Yeah, that's a good gold shot. Good job on this one. All right, next up is, let's see. Next up we have Lisa Maria. I think we had her in the chat already. If that's the same Lisa. All right, hello. Sounds like a German name. Web.de. Yes, it is German. German webmail. Hallo. Vielen Dank für deine Submission, sag ich mal auf Deutsch. Okay, back to English. All right, so let's have a quick look. Let's do Control 1. It's a little bit low res, so I will just zoom in. It will be a little bit blurry for everyone else, but it's okay. Responsible for animation. Let's just have a look through. Oh, is that an animation reel? Okay, so that applies to what I was saying in the beginning, that it's not supposed to be that small. Okay, well, I can just zoom out a little. We should still be able to judge it. Again, I was saying that I'm not an animator, but I can kind of give you, if you are quick, you can upload it, yeah? You can also just send it here on Discord quickly. That's probably quicker. In the meantime, okay, it's good. Like, she's using bats as a reference. Oh, I've seen this one, I think, from Pixel Vision, I believe. Okay, from Pixel. It's good. Walk cycle, animation, groom, lighting, comp. Okay. Yeah, hopefully we get the updated resolution, and then we'll see. Oh, sorry, I meant Pixel Vision as well. My bad. Oh, why did we jump there? Underwater turtle. It's cool and flowy. I actually was had the honors to go swimming with turtles when I went to Hawaii. It was pretty nice. Animation. Well, it's good. Again, it's a little bit tough for me to give really good notes on animation, especially for cartoon stuff, because I'm not very familiar with these exaggerated animation styles. But I can look at the character, like the reference, and that's probably the best indication I can give you. She's acting pretty good. All right, let's have a look at the beginning here. I think it's good that you started out with this shot. I think it's a very cool, powerful shot to open up your reel. So I'm not fully sure. Are the wings, is that simulated, or is that part of the rig and you have the option to add the jitteriness to the rig? It's animated, yeah? Yeah, okay. Because that is really cool. It really gives the strong feeling of wind resistance when you see the wings jittering and flapping like this in the wind. It's really realistic, and you can obviously see it on birds and the feathers, how they twitch in the wind because of the strong wind resistance. I'm not sure if the tail is usually doing that so much. Like, it feels a little bit wiggly, the tail. And again, we don't have reference, but I would imagine it would be a little bit less flippity flop in the wind, but otherwise it's really good. That's even nicer here. The right is House of Dragon. Okay, oh, that's your reference. Okay, they wiggle it also there. I see where you got the reference. But here, actually, when it's gliding, did you have that too when it's gliding? It's flapping, flapping, flapping. Yeah, it's maybe flapping a little bit too much, even in the HBO one, I think. Okay, you got let me download that quick. And 1080p, let's see if this is better. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. I'm not sure why the upload wasn't full res. All right, that's a lot nicer to look at. Thank you. Yeah, so I can see. Yeah, I think I would love to see the tail having the same features as of your reference. It's a little bit more flappy, like, it's like jittering like the wings in the wind. We don't see that as much on your side. Sorry, 1 second, please. Okay, sorry about that. My Watana just came in here quickly. All right, so you can see the dragon, good references for sure. Yeah. Let's look at this one. Yeah, this is way better in the resolution. So is there also something you have to do for skin that the skin jiggles? Is that something part of the rig, or is that just you were just doing the base animation, I guess, matching the reference? Because it is matching pretty well. I like that. Okay, so I used something like that to do that. Okay, pretty cool. It's really nice. Even like the groom is like deforming properly. It feels really good. Really nice stuff. Yeah, I'm just missing the secondary animation, I think. You can see it in a reference quite well, which is a little bit missing, I think. Or it's maybe not missing, but it could be a lot stronger. Like, the jiggle here and here, which you see in the ref, is probably lacking a little bit. I'm just looking at the lighting. I think the lighting works pretty cool. Like it's nice to see the shadow on the wall. Just gives a way more dynamic. Lighting is good. It's probably a little bit too filled as well. Just looking at the blacks, you know, here and here, this could just be a little bit less bright. You can see I'm already drifting right to the lighting and look dev. I think animation wise, it feels very accurate, very well done. Yeah, do we see the same? Yeah, that's already something I noticed. You can see when the turtle is using its arms to flap, it has this lateral vertical motion when it does this. You know, when the arms go up, it goes down. And when the arms go down, it goes up, something like a bird's motion. And looking at yours, I don't see that much. It feels like it's just one straight curve and it just goes along that. Like I would expect it to go more like this. Maybe it's theirs, maybe it's too subtle. Chrome cloth lighting, it's good. Feels good, feels nice and dynamic. She could probably bounce a little bit more, use her legs a little bit more. Feels very like the rider feels a little bit too static. You know, the legs, this is not moving enough back and forth. Her bum is not going up and down enough. I think the head is okay. Yeah, I think the arms, yeah, I'm just comparing it to the ref now. I think the horse motion is pretty well done. Just the rider could just feel a little bit more integrated. Oh, I talk to Zoogle, that's a cool little Easter egg there. Yeah, I like it. I think the animation is pretty cool. Feels like a fun project to work on. It's good. Yeah, again, obviously lighting and shading and all of that is a little bit too simple. But animation, yeah, it's cool. It's probably a little bit too static in these regions when I'm just looking at this. And there's no, yeah, this is probably something I would work a little bit on. It seems like everything here is frozen and just the arm motion is keyed. And obviously everything should move a lot more when there's like this big movement like of an arm. No, it's all a bit too static. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for your submission, Lisa. Appreciate it. And to everyone else, we had a little bit of a delay in the beginning. So what that means for me, I will have to go through the other ones at a different time. Maybe I'll just do this not live, but I'll just go through the rest and maybe do it at tonight and then have it uploaded as part 2 or something on my YouTube and also put it up on Discord because I have to take off now. I hope going through these couple of shots was helpful for everyone who was watching. And as I said, I will do the rest. I got like maybe 10 or 12 more to do. The next one's live. I would need to see, I can do this live in the evening, but it's PST evening, which means it's most of the time at night for all the other people watching. What we can do, I can just do it live tonight, and then whoever is online will be part of it, and whoever is not online will not be part of it, but it will be uploaded for a VOD for later watching. All right, so thanks everyone, and yeah, I'll try to do the rest of them soon. And yeah, join the Discord server if you haven't, and leave some good feedbacks on the videos on YouTube. So thanks everyone. Have a good rest of the Sunday, or have a good start for your week. Bye bye.